Welcome to Tammy Nation. Let's go.
I've been running from 9 to 5, been biting my tongue for all this time. Won't let anyone cut me short. I was thinking this was the way to go, and you put up your puppet show. I say cheers to life. No, I'll be no good man. Just leave me alone. I'm running this show. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. No, you better go home.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm coming back because there's a couple things that I want to bring forth. I know that I said I did my show earlier so I could get it out there, but there's just a couple things that one has been brought to my attention actually while I was live earlier and I didn't catch it. So thank you for sending this to me. You know who you are. I appreciate it. So I want to cover what was sent to me. And then I found another thing that I wanted to talk about that I totally forgot about that I think it's important to put out there in the forefront. But in the meantime, hello, Kim Ellen, and hello, Sharon. It's good to see you guys here and everybody else who's tuning in. Like I said, things are heating up, things are getting hot. So I'm just going to pop on when I can pop on. And even if it's just for a few minutes to make sure that we all stay updated on everything that's going on as things heat up, things change. So don't mind me. 1 minute I may be on in the morning, and 1 minute I may be on late at night, but I'm going to do what I can do for you guys for sure, 100%. So to start off, is the Mr. T I word close, and then we've got the GOP and Mr. T in Georgia this weekend. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the GOP in Georgia this weekend. It is happening here. It is going to be in Columbus, Georgia. It is the GOP convention. And I find this part interesting. I found some details about this. And actually, I had an opportunity to go to it, and I wasn't able to because I didn't meet certain criteria that I didn't know I had to meet in a timely fashion to be able to go. But, there's always the next time, right? So too bad I missed out on that. But in the meantime, with this GOP, it's actually happening in Columbus, Georgia, the 9th and 10th this weekend. And it's very interesting because we know that there's an America First part of the group out there with the Republicans, and then there's the Rhinos out there as well. Hey, Harvest Mary Moon. I know, right, Harvest? I'm glad to see you here on time and early. I'm a little bit early, too, than I normally do. But anyways, so we know that there's that division in the party. Well, what I find interesting is Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger and all their allies are not coming to this event. They're snubbing this event. They've pulled out of it. So I find that very interesting. And I do believe it's because they found out Donald Trump will be speaking at the event. And I think that sealed the deal for them once that announcement was made for them. Because if you guys remember, 2 years ago, Kemp was booed off stage at the event due to the disapproval ratings of his handling of the 2020 stuff. So with this year coming up this weekend, and there were big wins a few weeks ago here in Georgia across the counties for GOP races. So I think that made it even less friendly for him and Raffensperger that they decided to pull out because they knew they wouldn't get probably a good reception. But the thing is, political analysts are stating that it's impossible for Republicans to win the White House without winning Georgia. And I found that pretty interesting because I think that's a pretty bold statement to be made with these analysts. Could be true, could be not true, but I find that very interesting. So Georgia there's eyes on Georgia. We know all the difficulties we had here in my state, home state, the last go around. So there's been a lot of noise about that. There's different things going on against Mr. T here in the state. Also, another interesting fact, Pence was supposed to be a keynote speaker at this event this weekend, but he dropped out of it last minute. And if you guys watched earlier, you've probably heard, either watched my show or you've heard it for yourselves. Pence just announced his run for a presidential bid for 2024. So things are definitely heating up. There's a lot of people putting their hats in these races. So it's Trump, DeSantis, Pence. We've got interesting things coming about even on both sides. So I hope to keep everybody posted as far as what's going on with all of this. Also, the replacement for Pence, since he's not speaking and he pulled out, is Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake's going to come to town this weekend and she's going to speak, and she is replacing Pence. And what is happening is they believe Carrie's going to talk about everything that happened to her and is ongoing as far as the different things with the E word in Arizona. So she's, I think, going to give examples, give a talk, and try to convince people that we need to go to the paper things versus the machine things. And it, as generally as a state here in Georgia, with those two men, Rassenberger and Kemp, in charge and in power, they know that they're not going to be able to sweep it in the state. That what's going to happen is they're going to have to break this down so everybody applies for this and promotes this paper stuff county by county. So especially with those two in power, they know that we have to go county by county. And I'll tell you, from me being involved, I know, Kim, it's all right. Next time around, I wouldn't know what I was doing this time around. Anyhow, the people that are going, they know what they're doing. They'll be able to spread the information. So when I go to different meetings and stuff coming down the road, I'll get some information. You got to remember, I'm green to this. I'm new to this. I've attended events and stuff, but this is a big one. So I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing and that I could, absorb it. I would enjoy it definitely with seeing Mr. T and Carrie Lake, definitely. But the people that are going have been fighting the fight here in Georgia for a very long time. And I'm honored to have them as my friends, and they're educating me. So I have no problem saying I'm the rookie in this battlefield, but I'm willing to learn. And I'm learning from some of the best because these people are diehards. They're America First people. Like I said, I went to an event and I did meet Kemp and Newt Gingrich at an event. Newt Gingrich was really great. Kemp, it was interesting, let's just say. And it's really bizarre, you guys, when you meet these people in person and you think, man, there's so much I got to say to you and so many questions I've got to ask. But when they go to these intimate little events, because where I went, there was probably 25, 30 people there. And that was it. So, they have people surrounding them. And then if you want to ask them a question, they have handlers where they come up to you and say, what's your question? You can raise your hand and then ask a question. So it's very guarded and it's not just free and hanging out. It doesn't matter if it's a small, intimate event like I was at or on a mass scale. So they are protected. They really don't want to say a lot. Newt Gingrich had a lot to say. I was very impressed by Newt. But it's really surreal to see him in person because you think, man, there's so much that's going on in your world that I know about, that I want to ask you about, but I'm not able to. And I'm right here next to you. So like I said, you have to keep your wits about you because, of course, they have security. They got the SUVs there ready to get them out of wherever they're at. They've got the police around them and everything else. So you definitely don't want to get arrested if you're out of line and stuff. So you have to learn how to maintain, even though you don't want to. But my turn will come. But like I said, I'll bring to you guys whatever information I can, whatever comes out of this GOP convention this weekend, because I will be hanging out with the people in the meetings after the event, and they'll tell me what I can tell you guys. So I'm just saying that a lot of the stuff that you hear about Georgia, I will tell you firsthand, is real. It is real. And it's a cutthroat thing, and it shouldn't be this way. It should be open and honest. And we say that all the time. The truth should be told, but it's not. And you know what? It's not cool because people's lives are threatened. People are embedded locally at different branches that all have interconnections. I found out so many interconnections with people here, from the local courts to the, to the certain boards and stuff. And it's crazy. It's very crazy. So the people that I know that I'm involved with like to stay behind the scenes, and they aren't the mouthpieces or the face pieces. They always say they like to put me up and out there to make me the face piece. And I'm like, okay, that's fair enough, because you have to have people in all different levels and all different parts to be able to get information out there to the people. And I know it's not just Georgia this is happening with. There's a lot of good, honest people that are out there partaking in all this political stuff that really have the heart for America, that are trying to get things straightened out, that are trying to educate people, because people throw their hands up and say, there's nothing much I can do. I'm 70 years old, or there's not a lot I can do because, I'm just one person. There's a lot you can do. And, I've said it before, about 2 years ago on one of my shows, I had said, all you have to do is call up when there's something that comes up in your area, you don't like a bill or whatever, you get a hold of your senators and representatives and local people, and you voice your opinion. Because I told you before, one phone call from you being aggressive and saying and having your voice represents 100 people. Your single voice represents 100 people, because they know the majority of people do not make the effort to reach out and contact them. Okay. So when you do via email or you do via phone call, you do make the difference. They because these representatives do pay attention to all the information and data that they gather from their people, their staff members, and then they run with it there. And then that's why I think a lot of times you see them flim flam back and forth, is because when they start getting in these surveys and this information, they know what to talk about and they know what not to talk about, so they can either get elected or get reelected. And that's why their words don't match their actions. And that's what gets very, very frustrating. Hey, Benjamin, it is good to see you. Harvest Mary Moon said Cash's book on three-letter idiots took his manuscripts and going to redirect them. Can you believe that? Wow. No, I can't, Harvest Mary Moon. Cash has been out there on the front lines as well. And like I've said, for a while there, it was like everybody couldn't trust anybody. And all people were saying at one point was, you can trust God, of course, always. And then Mr. T. Those are the only two people. You can't trust in Cash. You can't trust Greg. And you can't trust Lindell. You can't trust Linwood. All of a sudden it got, or Devin Nunes, or even Scavino or Bongino. So people were coming out and saying, these guys are all shady. And I don't buy any of that. What happened was, all of a sudden, everybody that was fighting for America and fighting for rights and to straighten things out, all of a sudden these other people were, putting little words in people's heads saying you can't trust them. They have this agenda. You can't trust them. They're flipping. And it got to be, to me, BS, because you can't tell me that everybody is wrong and everybody's shady or everybody's going to flip except for Mr. T. I don't buy that. He has a lot of good people that are around him. Like I said, there are plenty that flip left and right, or some just try to get reelected and all that. We're all well aware of that. I'm just saying you have to stay vigilant. As 2024 gets close, you have to pay attention to actions, not just words. We have to be diligent and do our homework. We can't just somebody say something and then we say, oh, I'm going to like that person now, and then forget about it. And then their actions don't match it. We have to make sure their actions match their words. Just like Mr. DeSantis, I talked about earlier, all this stuff is coming out on him. And I would say, you know what, that may be hearsay that people are just trying to take him down or knock him down, but it's not, because when you have facts and you have the paper trail, you have dates, you have financial records that back what is being said out there, you can't dispute that, right? I know that people like to twist things, and it's the political arena to make the other person look bad, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing is, with what I said about DeSantis earlier, what I found out, to me, at least, it was substantial enough to be able to do some more digging, to find out what the truth is. You may like the guy, you may think he's great, you may think he's doing this or that, but remember, these people aren't going to show their true colors, right? They're going to tell you what you want to hear so they can get in and then gain power. And then that's where it all breaks loose. However, nowadays you've got these American patriotic people that are out there digging on these people, digging up the dirt and exposing the dirt, bringing it to the light. And that's what's pretty phenomenal and amazing in this time and day. And I'll tell you what, so far, Mr. T has not been wrong about much of anything. I said that again the other day. Tell me where he's been wrong. Let's see where he's been wrong. Go ahead, bring that to me. He's not one that I've seen flip flap back and forth, right, you guys? He hasn't. But we know what Pence has done. We know what Chris Christie has done, right? Even Kellyanne Conway came out with some stuff today about Chris Christie and giving her opinion, and we know how much she flip-flopped around either. However, the stuff she had to say today was very substantial in the fact of the progress and how these politicians handle trying to gain the most momentum for the person they want to win. So it's pretty interesting. I just feel like the political battlefield has lit up and it's got on fire again, and it's become more exciting. It's like we went through this lull and the same old for a while, and now things to me are really heating up. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about that was breaking, that was sent to me by someone, and I want to thank you very much. And it came out in Just the News. And apparently, Mr. T has been notified that he's going to be indicted next week on charges of gathering, transmitting, and or losing national defense documents. So apparently he's been notified by federal prosecutors, and he's a criminal target. He's likely, they say, to face imminent indictment on the classified document probe. So once again, they don't name names, but they're saying that people familiar with the case told Just the News that the revelations coming as the Justice Department has declined to delay charges to allow an investigation into allegations of witness tampering in connection with a senior prosecutor working on the case, attempting to influence a key witness by discussing federal judgeship with the lawyer representing the witness provided by Trump's legal team. So they're saying that the allegation is still pending. It's in a secret case before Chief U.S. District Judge James Boasberg in D.C. And it's an indictment that's a federal indictment that's supposedly brought on by special counsel Jack Smith. They're saying it could be handed by a federal grand jury to Trump as early as next week. Okay, so supposedly Smith's prosecutorial team informed Trump's team in recent days that the charges he faces include a violation of 18 U.S. Code Chapter 37, Section 793, which prohibits the gathering, transmitting, or losing of national defense information. Other charges reportedly being considered are alleged false statements and obstruction of justice. We all know what he went through with those documents. We've heard back and forth. They really never found anything. So basically, they're saying that Trump's lawyers, obviously, which would be smart on their part in their behalf, is they've been preparing for the defense for months based on months of legal research. And they anticipated these charges because we know he's been drugged through the mud over and over again. Nothing ever sticks pretty much, but they've been preparing for this. They're saying that the presidential candidate, Trump 2024, because obviously they're getting him trying not to run because they know it's going to be trouble if he does. He'll probably wipe everybody out. But the thing is, they're saying they're prepared to argue that Trump had constitutional powers to declassify the documents during his presidency and take them with him when his term ended. And we all know Mr. B had his fair share of situations going on with documents too. However, that's been swept under the rug. They're not worried about that, right? So also, Trump's lawyers reportedly rely heavily on a U.S. District Court case out of Washington, and it was over 10 years ago, and it was regarding former President Clinton, which included that a president had the power to determine what documents from his presidency can be kept in personal possession. So this is all just very interesting to me because, with Clinton, there was an issue. With Biden, there's an issue. Now with Trump, supposedly he's being indicted on all this. But in a Truth Social post, Mr. T said, "No one has told me I'm being indicted, and I shouldn't be because I've done nothing wrong. But I have assumed for years that I am a target of the weaponized three-letter agencies. And we know the Russia hoax, the no collusion Mueller report, then the impeachment hoax 1, 2, and 3, then the Ukraine phone call, and then other various scams and witch hunts. He said, so a travesty of justice and election interference at a level never seen before. Republicans in Congress must make this their number one issue. So basically, he's been saying the same thing over and over, and they've yet to prove him wrong. It seems like to me he's being transparent. And, like I said, we always say it doesn't matter what side you're on. You look at the amount of evidence that they use to go after Mr. T, the amount of evidence that we know is out there with Hunter and Mr. B, and there's nothing done. And it's a travesty of justice. I have to agree on him 100%. But the real kicker that came out today that I found very, very amusing was a day before Trump left office on January 19th, 2021, he signed a letter declassifying Crossfire Hurricane docs showing Obama, Mr. B, and those three-letter agencies spied on him. And it says, now you know why they raided Mar-a-Lago. They wanted to take back evidence of their crimes. So basically, he signed a document declassifying all of this. The bad people, I'm just going to call them bad people, know that he did this. And that's why they raided what they did. They were trying to steal back everything or find materials or whatever it is. So it's very interesting to me that they would, this is almost like a horror movie, really, right? It's just so much to keep track of and remember. And I think here's this one man that all he wanted to do was get America right, get America first. We were in great shape. And you look at it, at the destruction of this country, what this current administration has done in the short amount of time they've been in power. You look at how things have changed so much as far as the border, as far as transgenderism and the woke movement with these major corporations. And you realize how little they care about the very people they're supposed to represent. And that's what's so disturbing to me, that you can say, Mr. T, yeah, we need somebody new, Mr. T this, Mr. T that. But I'm telling you, I still have yet to see anybody show up the way he has all these years. And at the age that he's at, he's sharp as a whip. He still has his everything about him that he needs to have. He can walk up and down a flight of stairs without losing it. And he speaks. He knows how to speak and talk about things, and he remembers facts, even if it's on the teleprompter or whatever. He still goes off the teleprompter, and there's a hell of a lot of information that you have to remember. When he goes out and does these rallies and these speeches, you guys, think about the mass amount of information that he has to remember and that he has to function with, and that he has, when he was president, had control over. And you compare him compared to Mr. B, and how Mr. B has these little index cards, okay? They're index cards. He's got the person talking in his ear, and he doesn't know which direction to walk off a stage on. The scales are totally, completely imbalanced here. And, it's terrible that there's people out there that are so full of anger and hatred towards Mr. T that it blinds them to the fact of what is really going on out there. I mean, there's not one thing that I know that you can justify with Mr. B that he has done good in his administration for this country. You've just got his press secretary the other day coming out and saying that the amount of legal immigration for these people seeking asylum has decreased substantially. It's gone down, 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 way down. Yeah, the legal ones have. So the people that maybe aren't quite into it as much, or just look at the TV and believe everything they say, will say, yeah, see, with Mr. B in charge, the legal people seeking asylum, it's way down. We have nothing to worry about. So all this talk about the borders, that must not be true. Not realizing the legal people have gone down because the illegal people are zipping right through. They're giving them every kind of luxury they can give them to not only work them through after 4 or 5 hours of processing, telling them, promise you'll come back at such and such date, busing them off to these places. and most of them never to be seen again. And then you've got the mayor of New York announcing that over about 50 places of worship in New York are going to house these people now, these illegal immigrants. And so that means they're going to shut down. Hey, Shane, they're going to shut down houses of worship, over 50 of them, to house these guys, to take the stress off the shelter system, he said. And he said it's a great idea. It's a win-win situation, this mayor of New York just stated the other day. And then he's also going to push it further. If you didn't see my show or didn't hear what he said that he's going to work on people who have an extra room in their home to be able to pay them some money to be able to house some of these people, to take the stress off of these people not having a home, and not being in the shelter system or not being in churches. And he hopes this will get going all across the country. Right? Hey, Joseph, and I agree. Yes, he said they're going to force households to take to take them in. Yes, exactly. That's their bright idea. So, didn't we say a long time ago with these open borders that we can't handle this many people? And let's not forget, and I can't say it enough, it really ticks me off about the homeless people on the streets that are sick and mentally ill, the disabled veterans and the veterans that are on the streets, that we have done really nothing about. This administration could care less. And they're going to house illegals that they don't know who they are. They don't know what diseases they're bringing in. They don't know if they're dealing in drugs. They don't know if they're dealing in weapons. And to me, it's exactly what they want. This is what this administration wants. This is what they want the country to do, to just implode on itself and become like a Venezuela or something. So when years ago people said to us, "You're crazy. This is never going to happen. This is never going to happen," or, the border's always been open and we've been okay. You look at it now, you look at the massive amount of numbers of people from all these different countries that have swooped in the border. Just the other day, Kennedy Jr. was down there in Arizona. Okay. He was in Arizona and he was saying that he saw 150 people within an hour just walk right through. And he was naming a whole bunch of countries that these people came from. And he said, you have to come see this with your own eyes. You have to see it with your own eyes because you can't believe it. When they tell you it's secure and it's safe and all that, and you think, you know what? Well, that border really doesn't affect me because it's all the people along the border and those cities and stuff, they stay there. Not anymore. There is enough information out there on social media. There's enough information out there about the people that are Border Patrol patriots that are working. On Twitter, there's the Border Patrol that tells the truth. On Twitter, you've got Frank Lopez Jr., and those are the two major ones that I follow that show live video, that show evidence, that are actively on that line, on that border, showing what's happening day in and out. We're being told falsehoods. And unfortunately, a lot of us that pay attention and are doing what we're doing now on social media with each other, we know. But the thing is, we have to share that information with the people that are like this. Eyes glazed over. There's nothing going on. Everything's fine. We're fine. But I think that a lot more people are starting to wake up to the fact that it's not all dandy, just like the administration is saying. When you have the White House press secretary saying that the legal amount of people, of illegal immigrants, have gone way, way down, they realize, well, the illegals aren't up. So that's like a play on words. So you almost have to realize these guys know what they're doing. They've planned this out. They're not going to slip up, and this isn't haphazard. There's a plan of action that is in action. That I'm sure that it's been planned for ever. Who knows how long it's been going on? So, like I said, we've just been given a huge wake up call the last few years, and I'm very thankful for it because. Who knows? I think we were this close to losing it all. If Hillary would have won, because they didn't expect T to win. If she would have won, I just think we'd be way worse off than we are now. Now it's scary and startling because we see it and we know it. But don't forget, we have Mr. T fighting for us and all the people around him, like the Matt Gaetzes, like the Nuneses. There are good people out there that are working for the good. There are good people out there that are fighting the good fight. So, we're the ones that have to armor up and stay strong, keep our wits about us, and share the information. Like I said, for a while there, it got so heightened, not being able to have conversations with family members and stuff. Now is the time, I think, to hunker back down and start having conversations again, because it is getting close. 2024 is getting close. Who knows what's going to happen by the time we get there? But there's just a lot of stuff that's going on, a lot of stuff that is flinging out there and being exposed. And, I don't understand. Well, I do understand why, but the simple fact of the matter is, when it comes to the E word, I like Matt Gaetz too, Shane. I really do. And I agree. No strangers in your house around your kids. Absolutely. I mean, it's ridiculous to expect that. Wouldn't we house homeless veterans and people first? Wouldn't we try to have facilities built up and programs for the mental health of people that are out there in the streets? We can look left and right, up and down, and no matter which way we look, we see these people who are just inundated into drugs, that are half dressed on these streets, all these tent cities. I remember reporting that every year it was like millions of dollars that there's a city, I think it was San Francisco, in California, had to spend on people to come clean off the streets because of the feces and the urine in the streets or on the sidewalks from these tent cities. Because you got to stop and think, these people, they don't have restrooms. Usually restaurants and stuff don't let them in. So it's on the streets, there's just tent cities all over the place. It's crazy to me. And these videos that I see, I can't even watch some of these videos when people are flopping around out of control, and they're filthy dirty. They have a shirt on that looks like it's torn and used for years. They've got shorts on that are halfway down their body. It makes me want to cry, because it's like they have no help. You stop and think, somebody that has mental challenges, whether they're mentally ill or they have post-traumatic stress syndrome, or they're vets, PTSD, and they have nowhere to go. That is very, oh God, it's so shameful and sad to me that we wouldn't uplift them and have facilities and programs to help them out first. Help them reintegrate into society again. Get them the medical help they need. Get them physical activity. Get them clothes. Get them a job. Help them in any way we can. But we're going to keep sending all this money out to these other countries, and we're going to start housing in our houses of worship, our godly houses, illegal immigrants that they say are coming for safety, when we all know, we've seen what kind of people are coming through. It's not just families that are downtrodden. These people coming through are a lot of young men. They're teenage men all the way up to their 30s that are coming with children. It's not a lot of families, and they all are dressed to the nines, cleaner clothes on than these people in the streets. Are dang veterans that sacrificed so much to keep us free, and it just infuriates me. Way back before even this started up, at the church I was at, the pastor there was a veteran, okay, and he suffered post-traumatic stress syndrome, and his dream was always to help the vets and stuff, and we were going to start a program and all that. And the thing is, the stories that he told me, this isn't falsehoods about the veterans out there. This is not falsehoods at all. It's truth, and it is terrible. It's a terrible stain on our country that we don't hold them up high and first in high regard. And I know the military's been getting a rough go of it lately, but if it wasn't for them, we would not be where we're at. Their duty and their oath is to protect us. And yes, there are some not so good ones in there now that have different, to me, mental issues, but the majority of them are good, dang, hardworking men and women that I'm proud to call Americans, that I'm proud to have them represent this country. They're strong patriots. I have friends that have sons and daughters in the military, so I get information from them as well. So I'm not just speaking off the top of my head. It's different experience and different levels. When you are you know, people that have military members, you have people that sacrifice, the amount of sacrifice that goes into this in families and stuff. It's not so simple to say, well, you know what they know what they sign up for. BS. They don't, you know, that's BS. They are brave men and women. And the way the climate of this world is now, for anybody to even sign up and be in there, you have to know that they are the true heroes, because I don't think a lot of them are going to agree with what's going on, but they take that oath, so they have no choice. So I know I'm ranting about it, but it's just been a sore spot with me for so long. Here we are, like trying to change these minor children, whatever sex they want to be. We're all focused on that. And that's supposed to be inclusion and sensitivity and all that. But we've ignored these people over here that gave these people the freedom to do that. It makes zero sense. So I think it's just hard time that we recycle all through this. We get everything right again, and we stay strong, and we stay for the fight. All the people that fought, that have lost their lives, sacrificed. We just had D-Day Monday, and you know what? There's a lot of good men and women that are gone, but because of their bravery and their truth and their honor, we are able to do what we're doing. And maybe it's just time for us to step up now, right? They've stepped up for all these years, all these generations. It is time for, I think, the average American, you and me, citizen, to stand up and be strong, so the generations that come after us are going to have a country they can be proud of. They can have a life that they can be proud of and live free, because it isn't going that way right now. So I have a lot of hope for 2024. I have a lot of faith. You know, I really believe that a lot of things are getting exposed and will continue to get exposed, because evil can only stay in the dark and evil for so long before it gets exposed to the light. And then it's up to us to take action, right? However, we need to take action. You know, we've been told all along that we need to do what we can on local levels. For a while there, we sat back and thought the military and Mr. T was going to save us and all that. And that didn't happen. We sat back. It's time for us to take action. Yeah, Shane, I agree with you. And yes, Joseph, 100%. I've always been about the vets and the seniors. You know, I just lost my friend Jerry, who was a vet, 92 years old. His funeral's Saturday. He's going to get a military send-off. And I know I'm going to be an emotional wreck, but I'm going to be so proud and so happy, because I know he's in a better place. However, that military send-off, there's nothing like it. That is an amazing, amazing thing that he served for this country. And believe it or not, I'm just looking forward to it, because he is like the last of a generation, 92 years old, fought, and a brave man, you know, and he was a man's man. Okay, a man's man, not confused on if he was a man or a woman, or he wasn't comfortable in his skin. He was a man's man. So I'm really actually looking forward to that on Saturday. What, Harvest Mary Moon, Steve Bannon just got subpoenaed? Seriously? I missed that. Like, here it goes, you guys. I've been trying to stay on top of this between work and other activities that are going on, and all this keeps popping. You know, Bannon's gone through a lot, and I've said before, I'll stand behind Bannon. You know, that man speaks the truth, and he's another one. Just because he looks a little messy, you guys, just because he doesn't have a suit on, just because he's a little off kilter and he doesn't look like the pretty package, he's real. The man has a heart. He's real. And you can't go by that, because I've said all my life, I've said, you know what politicians do? They dress up and they're in this pretty package, and they tell you all that you need to hear. They give you sweet nothings in your ears and make you content and happy, so they get your count for their vote for right into office. And then what happens is they completely do the opposite of what they tell you they're going to do. And for the longest time, we kind of accept that. We said, you know what, that's kind of politics. Or, you know what, hey, D-Dog, I know I'm back again. You know, for a long time, we were told, you know what, there's so much red tape, it's hard to get anything done. And that, excuse me, somebody in the office for 4 years just gets the ball rolling. Then somebody else gets in, and then it starts over. So we really never gain forward momentum. And you know what, you guys, for a long time, I believed that. But then when Mr. T came in and he got accomplished everything he got accomplished, in facing everything that that man has faced. That's how we learned and knew that if you're determined, you're open, you're honest, and you have a passion for what you're doing for the good of this country and having God lead you, there's no stopping you, that you can get a heck of a lot accomplished. And I've said before, can you imagine the things he could have got accomplished if he didn't face opposition? And sometimes opposition from the very people that were on his staff that claimed to be a friend or an ally, just like Chris Christie. Chris Christie was the one that was in 2020 helping him prepare for debates. He was supposed to be doing everything he could to get him the position of office as presidency. So what happened between 2020 and 2023 that all of a sudden he's talking so bad about Mr. T and he's gone the other way? What has happened there? That doesn't make any sense at all. There's some kind of thing going on behind the scenes. And I think that we are just being woken up to the scale of things that go on that we had no idea were. We now are looking at the depth and the level of the swamp. Swamp is very deep. Swamp is very corrupt, very mucky. And the people that you think are your allies and have your back really don't. Because why? Men can be sinful. Men sometimes, and women, I'm talking about just men and women in general, if they have an agenda for themselves first, if they have ego, if they have selfishness, if they have greed, if they want power, if they want money, they're going to do anything to get it. Once that ball starts rolling and that popularity starts going, they will sacrifice their own family members to get what they want. And that's not God-driven. Because if you're God-driven, you know that you're going to be picked on. You know that you're going to be mocked and made fun of. You know that dirt is going to be pulled up on you, but you stay the course because you know that what you're doing is being led on your path, your passion. And if you really want to make this country great, or you really want to do something good, it doesn't amount to the amount of chatter that goes on against you. You're going to keep going forward and you'll end up succeeding. You don't have to sell out. And so many of them do. Because why? It's money and greed. And we have said before, these politicians aren't supposed to become multi-millionaires over the position they have. How are they getting all this money? Their paycheck isn't that. How do they afford everything that they have? You got to stop and think. How do they afford it? Hey, Phyllis B., it's good to see you. It has been a long time. It's good to have you here. Let me see. Harvest Mary Moon says, I said a politician votes for their own wallet. They absolutely do. The majority of them do. And, that's another thing that people seem fake conservatives. Shane, I agree with you. It's not one side anymore, Shane. It's just people in general, right? Because the ones that are going to be corrupt or bad, it doesn't matter if they have a D or an R or an I in front of what they're representing. It's what they have in their soul and what their goal is. If their goal is just to get in there for fame, fortune, and living the life of so-called luxury as a politician, they're going to do whatever they want to do. Exactly, Harvest Mary Moon, insider trading. It's hard to find people that have a true, honest heart and have, our best interest at heart. And, for so long, this country's just tolerated it. That, we say, well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Well, obviously, underneath the surface, it has been that bad because these branches of all this different kind of things that are going on that are corruption, it's on different levels. It's from money. It's from education. It's from grooming. It's from training. It's from taking jobs away from people and giving them to robots. It's making us think that we don't matter, that our mind and our voice don't matter because we are not the majority. But guess what? We are the majority. We are 100% the majority because we know we love America and what it stands for. We're the grassroots people. We're all about the individual person, the blue collar people. We are the majority. Christie is no threat to T. He will be taken. Yes, exactly, D-Dog. I talked about that earlier in my other show. that Kellyanne Conway broke it down. And I said, no matter you like her or not, your opinion of her, but listen to what she had to say. And that's what she had to say. She said, the Dems are not going to like that because he will pull votes away. So what they're going to try to do is get him out, get him out of there because they want their guy to win. They're not stupid. Right. So he's out there, flapping his mouth and waving his finger, and he's not going to probably have much backing, but they were saying that's a little bit of backing that that he had. We'll see. And also with that Colin guy, that guy with the big hair, the poofy hair, that was the People's Party, that's supposed to be like the Bernie Sanders type guy. So we'll see what happens. It's just interesting, some of these people that are coming out. It's crazy. Now, I don't know if you guys thought Pence was going to run or not. I didn't think he was going to toss his hat in. I didn't hear much of him. I don't know where he's been. And then all of a sudden, he's out there talking about it. And he's like saying everything you want to hear. And, my family has roots and we've learned the American way and blah, 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 blah. If the dude really felt that way, how come I don't know him for that? And how come we don't know him for that? It seemed like he hasn't expressed that. But now, because he announced his run, he's saying all the pretty words that we want to hear, right? He's saying actually the same kind of things that Mr. T has been saying all along. So really, these people who are coming up, throwing their hats in the ring as far as the Republican side, they really don't have anything to say that Mr. T hasn't already been saying for multitudes of years. I gave the stats earlier that Pence is number 3 as far as the nominations go. So it's Pence, and then it goes DeSantis, who has Pence is in there, but DeSantis, I think, has 16 points over Pence. And then Mr. T has like a 53.7% advantage in the polls and stuff. So Mr. T is still blowing him out of the water, because really, how do you run against him? It's one thing, the Dems, who knows what they're going to be able to say to run against him. Like, I can't figure out what is a positive thing that any of those people have to say that they can get you to be on their side. I have no idea. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see anything positive of this administration that's going on now. As far as the other side with Mr. T, how do you beat him? The man was the president. The man has all these stats on his side. He's got all the truth on his side. Yeah, he's been accused of many things come hell and high water. He certainly has. None of it's been proven. And now the Oversight Committee is investigating all the people that were investigating him. So how do you maneuver as a Republican trying to try to put your hat in the ring with Trump? Are they hoping that people dislike him so much or think he doesn't have a chance again that they do? So they're going to kind of follow what Mr. T has always said, even if they've been against him, because Pence hasn't been great with Mr. T either. So now is Pence going to follow suit and try to copycat him, thinking people have Trump fatigue? So that's why I said, to me, it's getting very, very interesting. D-Dog says, I want to be surprised to find out that T talked him into running. That's a good point, Good point, probably. Phyllis B said, I am believing the old adage, more and more, everyone has a price. Exactly. That's the unfortunate thing, Phyllis. Everybody, well, not everybody, but the majority seem to have a price, because we've been talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I don't know where I stand with that yet. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I have hope. Because she has been obviously a loud voice and an advocate for a lot of things here in Georgia and across the country, and putting in different bills and legislation and all this stuff of things that we want done and taken care of. But now, she's going out against Bannon because Bannon didn't support McCarthy. So they're all of a sudden there's interfighting again. It's like people can't stay focused and on a path. Like, what has caused her to go to the wayside? Because Bannon didn't give her the way she wanted him to be. And that's what happens that we talk about. People don't know how to debate and have conversations. If you don't believe their way, they axe you or kick you out. And that's no way to get anything done, whether it's in our government, our families, or relationships. You have to be able to converse back and forth. You have to be humble. You have to admit you're wrong sometimes. And you have to admit sometimes what you think is right or the right way maybe isn't the right way. Or you have to be open enough to let people show you their view of it, which may be a better view, because your view, you didn't have enough information to have the view they have. They share it with you and you're like, yeah, I see that. And I'm not talking about lying and manipulating. I'm talking about just cold hard facts out there. We all put our minds together, we all share the information, and then we make educated decisions. And that's what it's all about. And that's what they're trying to suppress and take out of us, that we don't communicate, that we shut off each other or shun each other if we don't agree on the same thing, and all that kind of stuff. And that's just crud. They're just trying to isolate us, and it's not going to happen. The people that are true to the cause, true to this country, that are God led, are going to hang in there all the way to the end. And I just don't believe they knew how much of a fight they had against them, with the American people, with those of us who bleed red for this country. That, you start shaking up the mama bears with the kids. That was a big mistake. It's one thing doing what you guys were doing on the levels you were doing, back and forth with each other in Congress, having, getting angry on the floor and saying your side of things, and then somebody coming at you and having these debates. But you start messing with these kids and our grandkids, big mistake. Because if we lose that, we lose everything. So that a lot of us are going to go down fighting to the bitter end for our children and the generations that are coming after us. Because I will not settle for the fact that my kid should have to feel like the oddball because they believe in God, male and female, two genders, that's it. These people are talking about inclusion, but they disinclude that theory. They disinclude the conservative people. And then it's crammed down our throats. Like, just because somebody says they feel a certain way, we're supposed to call them that. And if we don't, we're insensitive, and that we're judgmental, and that, we're all these bad things. Bull honky. You start talking to some of these grandmas or grandpas or this generation of those people, and you go to them and say, and show them some of the stuff and surgeries and things that are going on in this society, and they're going to be, what in the plum? And they'll probably say the word plum hill's wrong with you people. This is nonsense. Knock it off. We're losing that wisdom, and we're losing it quickly. And that was part of, I think, the thing with the jabberdoodle and all the fear there, is they were attacking that older generation that had faith in doctors, that had faith in government wanting the best for us, maybe, or trusting them. And they went after them, and that was really bad. They scared a lot of them. There was a lot of damage done generationally and families over that jabberdoodle and all that nonsense that became a serious issue. People are still trying to mend fences with each other. People are still trying to wrap their heads around what even happened. What even is the truth to all that we went through? And was it really for our benefit or not? But I believe a lot of people, as they come to the realization, and all the stats that are coming out, realize it wasn't for our benefit. It was a scare factor. And then there's the mental stress that's caused these people to be fooled. That is another issue we're dealing with. So they're hitting us left and right, with the young generation, with the older generation, with the military, with the banks, with our finances, with not having enough eggs or toilet paper. It's actually ridiculous. So they're coming at every angle that they can, firing at us, hoping that we just succumb and give up. But I just believe in the American spirit, and I don't believe that's going to happen. DC is a grand delusion. Yeah, inclusion when it suits them, absolutely. And once again today, and I say it, I wish I could show the videos, not that they're comfortable, but I wish I could just scroll through a show and show you all You probably have seen it. The different videos that come out day in and day out of what these kids are exposed to on so many different levels. Today, today I saw one, and it was a drag queen, and they were sitting on a chair, and they were reading a book to elementary school children. And this drag queen, which you know that it's not all drag queens, it's not all gay people, it's not all trans people, but there is a mental issue that is going on sometimes. And this person, this drag queen in the dress, the full makeup and hair, was sitting there reading. I would say these kids were probably kindergarten, first grade kids, a book. And this drag queen had his legs wide open, and there was like an emoji over it because the crotch was exposed to all these children. So my question is, why is it okay if you have a wig and you have makeup on that you can expose yourself and be around children doing different dances, dressing provocatively? That's acceptable and okay. But if you don't have a wig and makeup on and consider yourself trans and you're just a typical male or typical female that does anything like that, you'd be arrested in a second. You'd be labeled and arrested in a second. But because this is the new trending thing, that you call yourself trans and you feel like you're a woman, dressed like a woman, that if you expose yourself and there's videos I've seen of them teaching kids how to twerk, that's okay. But ask yourself, if Uncle Bill or Aunt Sue went around doing that at a family event, not even in a public school, if you had a family gathering and even if they got drunk or something and started twerking in front of your children at a family gathering, would you tolerate that? And would you say that's okay? No. But if you invite somebody who's dressed up like that because it's cute or it's quaint or it's fun and look at how pretty and look at anybody can be anybody and they do it, that's acceptable in society now. How backwards is that? And I just said the other day at this parade, this gay pride parade thing that they had going on in West Hollywood, the guy was whipping another guy on the back of a truck and his butt was hanging out and was whipping around, jiggling around. It was disgusting. And you want to laugh at it, but the problem is there's kids out there and that's acceptable. But let a man and a woman go out there and do that to each other, and they're going to get arrested for indecent exposure and everything else. So that explains to you and tells you that there is a certain agenda out there, and it is what it is. And if anybody's for that agenda, they have an issue. They have a mental issue because these children are off limits. There is no debating it. There is no trying to understand it, saying that they know what they want and they're born confused. And, when did, just because a boy wanted to play with a doll, or a girl wanting to play with a car, when did that turn into, I guess, that they want to be the opposite sex? And I guess that we better start getting them therapy to learn how to transition into that. It's just, I could go on and on about it, but I won't, because this was supposed to be a short little show and then it's an hour again. So, but I just get heated up about it. And, I'll keep going back to the kids every time. That's where I say, when you guys start getting tired and fatigued, remember, we got kids out there that we have to fix this country. We have to fix their moral and ethical mental health to get them on the straight and narrow path again, because they have been so distorted, so groomed, so indoctrinated with so many things that are not godly, that are not normal, that are not healthy. It's ridiculous. You mean to tell me some of these people that are so confused, these boys that are drawn on all this makeup, are going to go out and fishing or go out hunting? They don't. Why aren't the boys doing boy things and the girls doing girl things anymore? Why is it so important, ask yourself, to wipe out male and female and make everybody just kind of a blur of anything they want to be at the moment? It's just nonsense. It's just crazy. And we don't need to leave these kids behind that are transitioning or feeling this way, we need to help them. And it's not by cutting them to pieces. It's by therapy. It's by the exposure of what's out there in the world and what's acceptable. It's just so polluted that we have to go back to, hey, you know what? This is not right. This is wrong. You are not wrong for feeling that you're a male, and it's okay. It's like the newest, latest trend. And I know trend seems so superficial, but I don't know what else to call it, because it isn't a trend. It affects, these changes affect them for the rest of their lives. And, when you start doing hormone blockers and stuff, I'm telling you, it's going to make you crazy. Medication like that, we don't know what the long-term effects of that kind of medication are. We don't have any idea. So, let me see. Yeah, I pray for that too, Harvest Mary Moon. Shane says my mother and father got kicked out of a bar back in the 80s for my mother sitting on my dad's knee. What? Oh my gosh. Are you serious? It's so crazy how far it's gone to the left. Isn't that insane? So, heterosexual couple, her sitting on a man's knee in a bar, they got kicked out. But nowadays, you can have an adult male whipping another adult male's naked butt in the public streets, with people lined in the streets as somebody drives the truck as you're going at it. I mean, it's just so twisted, and it's uncomfortable, but it's the truth. And we have to fight back. We definitely have to fight back. And I'm here for it. It is insanity, and it is a clown world, and it is the Twilight Zone. But I want to get back to the normalcy. I want to get back to to God country, getting in a truck and just driving in the country and having a bonfire, jumping in a lake, all that good wholesomeness. You can call me old fashioned, you can call me boring, I don't care, but those were good days. I've had days like that, and I know a lot of you have had days like that, and we need to get back to them for our kids. When's the last time kids went out and just in the woods to play, or the dads took the kids hunting, or the dad took the kids fishing, or the mom took, the girls and taught them how to bake something or sew something? And I know it sounds old fashioned, but they don't, because we've been so busy working, trying to make ends meet. And then our kids are indoctrinated by being in front of videos or in front of the computer or on these TikToks and all this stuff. Their hours and hours go away and go by, and they're influenced by all this crap they see on this stuff instead of real life. And in my show earlier today, I said, get away from all this and this phone, your phone in your hand 24/7, just scrolling, and get out there and breathe some fresh air. Look at some flowers, cut some flowers, go by a lake, go on an adventure, go on a walk, go on a hike, go swimming, go somewhere and do something and get back to reality. And I think that's how we start getting our kids back too. We really do. We stop letting video games and phones be the babysitters and be the majority in their lives. Let's get back to the family meals. It's got to be a priority, you guys. It's got to be a priority for these kids. And they may fuss and fight, because I know that there's a lot of young men that are in their early 20s that don't want to drive, that don't want to work, that want to become gamers and make all this money gaming, and they don't want to go out there and get a so-called real job, because they have been mentally taught that you can do whatever you want to do, order on video games, you'll be okay, mom and dad will take care of you, order some DoorDash, have the food delivered, you don't even have to go out and get delivered, and they're stuck in a chair 24/7 other than sleeping. It's ridiculous, and we need to snap out of it. Like Cher said in that movie, and she slapped Nicolas Cage's face, and she said, snap out of it. That's what we've got to do. We got to wake our kids up. We got to keep talking and having conversations with them and keep fighting the good fight. I know I've been doing that with my kids, and there was some rough patches for a very long time. Exactly. Choose life. Exactly. I cut many a shiner in a truck in a field. Harvest Mary. That's awesome. And yes, Shane, choose life. We can all get together here and spend time together and have a good time, but we're not here 8, 10, 12 hours a day, right? I enjoy coming on and seeing you guys and talking with you guys or seeing what you have to say. That is being in touch, but we can't do it 24/7 because if we're just amongst each other all the time, we don't have any experiences. We'll run out of experiences in reality to share with each other. You have to get out there in your own communities, find out what's going on, and then spread the word and encourage as best you can. Do what you can do. Start breathing fresh life again, not getting down and out about the negativity that's happening out there. Be aware of it, talk about it, but don't obsess over it. Once again, just regain the faith and strength in yourself as a human being and remember what it was like growing up, just running free barefoot through in the summers. Remember how when we were kids, how excited we were for summer when school got out, the days of summer just playing outside barefoot, you came home when it was dark, you did whatever, it was innocent fun, you explored. I remember encountering like praying mantises, butterflies, snakes, frogs, all that kind of stuff. Those were the best summers, and you'd go to bed at night and you'd have that smell of fresh air on you and you'd sleep so good because you were exhausted from being outside all day every summer. And then, summer would get over and we get back to school and we think, man, that summer went by fast. But those hot summer nights were amazing as kids, just being adventuresome, using our minds, exploring. We've lost that these days. These kids have lost that. I was talking to somebody today at lunch, an older lady, and she was talking about her generation. She was older, and she said, "You know what, Tammy? I never even knew what canned vegetables were till I was 14 years old." Everything she did was on the farm from scratch. She said, "I got so sick of picking peas and cleaning peas and beans and all that, and they started going and reminiscing about the different foods they ate and the different things they enjoyed, like moon pies and stuff like that from scratch." You know what I mean? And it was just so cool to listen to that and remember that from that generation. And then it made me think about my generation, and then it made me think about the generation of my kids and your kids and what the heck they're going through. It's nothing. You can look at a video all you want, but it is nothing compared to getting and gaining the real experience. The internet is good for sharing things, obviously, and seeing things. It's got its good points. But when it becomes an addiction or obsession and you stop living the real life out there, that's when it becomes a detriment to society. And unfortunately, I think that's what it is. You look at all these filters that they have now, that some of them are actually funny that you can play with, like the ones that kind of distort you and stuff. That's kind of cool. But you look at women, even my age, that use these special filters to make them look like they're 20, and they're always taking selfies over and over and over again. It's almost like the narcissist in them comes out. And is that really living when all you're doing is taking selfies all day long? A little bit's fine in moderation, but like I said, it's not just the young kids that are being affected, it's the older people too. I mean, people my age and up. It's just crazy to me. Fun filters are okay, though. I'm going to tell you, some of them make me laugh. That's different. But when it's the ego ones that you look nothing like you look like in real life, I just never understood that. Like, the beauty standards are so high. And I'm going to stop talking, which I said I was going to do like 15 minutes ago, because I have other things to get on to. But it's just been a good conversation. I guess I'm just all fired up. It's just been one heck of a day, and I just have hope. I just have so much passion and hope for this country. And I just want people to get excited and fired up and feel the passion again. Start breathing, like Shane said, and living life again, and not being in that lull, and that from being locked down and being isolated. Get out there and enjoy people, enjoy the smells of nature, and just get out there and have real life experiences again. And once you start doing that, then all this political stuff will fall in place too. Because if you're just in isolation and you're kind of sad and depressed, and then you pay attention to the politics all day long, it can depress you even more. But you need to do what you need to do to energize yourself, to fuel your passion, and to have your sense of self-care and freedom and independence and live your life, and then go to the politics side of it. And then you can be all hyper like me. Like me, I get all hyper when it comes to this now because I'm also taking care of myself and living real life and enjoying those experiences again. So with that, I didn't wear shoes all summer. I know, Harvest Mary Moon. I never wore shoes either, but I'll tell you what, down here in Georgia, you have to, because the pine cones have thorns in them. And the other day I made the mistake. I walked into the grass a little bit and I had like 2 or 3 thorns stuck in my foot, and it hurt so bad. And that's the one bad thing about here in Georgia. You can't walk barefoot. And even on the cement, it's so hot, it burns your feet. So it's a no shoe. You have to have shoes on down here. I miss that in Michigan because I used to be barefooting all the time. I'd even drive my car barefoot and bring shoes with me. That way, if I got pulled over, I could whip my sandals on real quick. But I was a barefooting girl, definitely. And, that's part of grounding. That's part of re-energizing and refueling yourself. If you believe in natural essential oils and natural fixes and stuff, when you walk barefoot through the earth, it regrounds you again. It really does, because there's energy there. But that also is a conversation for another show. So anyhow, get pricked by a needle where I live. I know, Shane, right? I believe it. I believe it. It's unfortunate. And the same with the beaches, Shane. A lot of the beaches are inundated with needles too. You have to be careful. And I know they clean them out, but how sad is that you can't even walk along the beaches? They suggest you wear shoes because there's so many disposed of dirty needles laying around. That's even on the sidewalks in a lot of cities. They do what they can to clean them up, but they're still there. And it's just unfortunate. It's terrible. But I have hope. Like I said, you guys, we always have hope, right? We are strong. We are united, and we are Americans. We're going to be all right. We're going to get through all this stuff. So thank you guys for joining me tonight in the conversation. It's always a good one. And it's really good to see some of you I haven't seen in a while. There seems to be new people finding me, which I appreciate. Also, for those of you who don't know, I do have Tammy Nation 2 up if you want to subscribe to that, just in case. And in the description of my videos, I have all my different links, because I do link up to Rumble and Facebook. I think I only have like 10 people on my Facebook. And that's okay. But should you want to and have Facebook, you might want to follow me on Facebook too. That way, if something happens here, I'll figure out how to go on Facebook. And this uploads to Rumble, you guys. I don't pay for Rumble, so I have to wait for them to upload it. But my shows are always going to be on Rumble. Should they be gone here, you can always find them on Rumble. I figured that one out. Rumble's a bit tricky. So anyhow, you guys have a wonderful, peaceful rest of your Wednesday evening, and it'll be exciting. I will definitely be talking about the GOP here in Georgia this weekend. Find out what kind of, they're saying it's drama. We'll see what kind of stuff comes out of that with Mr. T and Carrie Lake, what she has to say and stuff. So it ought to be an interesting weekend. We'll see. We'll hang out and see. And I also want to follow up with the Bannon stuff. So thank you for telling me that Bannon got subpoenaed and stuff. That I missed that one. So I'm gonna have to check into that as well. And also, you guys, lastly, if you have any information you want to send me or you want to reach out to me, I'm at tammynation@gmail.com. Some people already have that and have reached out. But if there's any information you want me to put out there or any questions you have, you can always reach me there. I love talking to you. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So with that, love you guys. Take care, and I will talk to you soon on the next one, you guys. Have a pleasant, peaceful rest of your evening, and God bless you all. Love ya.